Welcome to the Fearlessly Authentic Sash and Soul podcast, the show that goes beyond the stage, prioritizing a healthy mindset, overall well-being, and triumphs in the pageant journey. In each episode, we dive into the transformative power of embracing authenticity fearlessly.
From mindset mastery and self-care strategies to success stories that inspire, this podcast is your go-to guide for navigating the pageant world with confidence and resilience. Join us as we embark on a journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and celebrate the stories of those who fearlessly embraced their authenticity on the path to pageant success. I'm Lila Sherry.
And I'm Rayanna Johnson. Welcome to Sash and Soul. Hello, beautiful friends. Welcome back to Sash and Soul. Oh my gosh, I am so beyond excited. Words cannot express my gratitude, the privilege that I feel today for our incredibly special guest. I have had this vision for so long, and for this elite, amazing woman to be our first guest on this show is incredible to me. I'm going to hand it off to Lila to introduce her. Take it away.
Well, as the title probably already says, we have Miss Madison Marsh, the incredible current Miss America 2024. She was crowned back in January on the 102nd anniversary of Miss America. She was Miss Colorado before becoming Miss America, and she uses her national platform for advocating for pancreatic cancer awareness. I'm sure we will talk about all of this. She was in the Air Force Academy. She is now a freshman at Harvard. I mean, all of the things we know about her. I love her. This is one of my close friends. Madison, thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
What has your year looked like so far? Can you just give us kind of a rundown on your life as Miss America in the first, I guess, 2 months?
It is very, very fast paced. I mean, from the moment that you're crowned, you already start talking about when you're going to leave. And so it's been a lot of living out of a suitcase, which has been kind of tough for me, to be honest, because I'm a very clean and organized person. Like, if I could show everyone my room right now, it is very tidy. But living out of a suitcase and being on the road all the time has been, really difficult, but a lot of fun, because Miss America, they've really tried to focus on giving me a bunch of diverse opportunities. So it might be TV interviews one day, maybe the next appearance, like 30 minutes later, I'm changing into my military uniform to go talk to kids. Or maybe you're going to go speak to some high officials at Congress. Or maybe you're going to go to the Super Bowl. I mean, those are the types of events that you have to be prepared for. So it's been a really big whirlwind, and I'm still kind of getting used to life on the road, but it's been very exciting, and I feel blessed nonetheless.
How much is it what you envisioned, and how much is it like completely unexpected?
I would say the leadership team this year has really given me free reign to make my year whatever I want it to be. So I definitely didn't envision them being okay with me coming out about my fiance, whenever I got engaged.
So congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes.
So that was, really heartwarming when the entire team was over the moon for me. And I didn't ask them to repost it, and they did. So seeing that change in leadership and the narrative around women and relationships in the Miss America system is amazing. And then also, like I said, the downtime, they're letting me go travel next week if there are days that I want to have off and be at home, be with my family, go see my fiance. They are really, really open and want to be able to work that into the schedule. And I know that's been a big change from past Miss Americas and what they've gotten to do, specifically because of the leadership and Robin. They want to make sure that this year is what I want. And so that was shocking, but in a good way, because now I get to control what being Miss America means, and they'll handle all of the other big events and the planning. So it's been really nice.
I'm going to dive into something a little bit more, in depth here, I guess, about that, because I'm very curious. A lot of times when I'm talking to my clients, we're talking about leadership skills and collaboration. And when I talk about collaboration as a leader, being able to collaborate with an organization as a title holder, you jump in as a title holder within an organization that is well established. for decades, and you have a lot of big ideas of things that you want to accomplish, but it sounds like, you have had a really incredible opportunity of working closely with this organization to make this what you want. And I don't know that it's always been that way, at least at the national level. So what can you say to everyone about your ability to collaborate with this leadership team to make this what you want it to be for yourself, but also be the best Miss America that you can be as a representative of this organization?
I think a really big thing is just asking for what you want. Like, they can't give you what you want unless you verbalize that. And there have been some times in the past 2 months where, I don't know, maybe I've done a bad job of, like, I didn't actually tell them, hey, I want to go do this thing. Well, then they don't know. But as soon as I actually sat down and said, here are the things that I care about and here's how I want to carry that strategy out, they're like, okay, game on, like, go do it. And I think that stands for a lot of leadership in life, because you're definitely going to run into leaders that aren't like Robin and are maybe going to give you pushback. And being able to stand up for yourself and stand up for what you believe in, and making sure that, the person who's going to get stuff done at the end of the day is going to be yourself. You can always rely on yourself to get things done. So if you stand up with a plan and go with it, you can get it done. And so that's kind of been my motto for the past 4 years. And now I'm really lucky to be under leadership that wants to help me carry it out. So I'm not having to carry all of the burden and the stress of doing it on my own. But there have definitely been some phases of life where I have had to do that.
I love that. It goes along the theme that we've been talking about a lot lately of owning your own experience. You're not the victim of circumstance, you're the creator of your own experiences. And you're absolutely right. Like, how in the world are they going to know what your vision is unless you share what that vision is? No one can read your mind. I love that. I applaud that.
Can we talk about your pageant journey as a whole? Obviously, you didn't just wake up one day and become Miss America. And I don't even just mean pageant journey, just kind of what brought you here today. I think there's a misconception that you can be good at pageants. And while I think that it's possible to be good at pageants, I think it means that you're also successful in a lot of other areas of your life as it is. And you just so happen to also be successful in pageantry. So kind of take us through, I mean, you're Miss America 2024. What have you worked towards in your life that you believe has brought you here today?
I think a big thing about pageants is being able to distinguish yourself, and not necessarily wanting to do pageants for the sake of just winning. Like, if you go in only expecting to win because you got a title, I don't think that that's winning, because there have definitely been competitions where I've maybe won the competition, but I didn't win the experience. And I had lost in that sense. And so I think a lot about, when I go into the headspace of wanting to compete, it's about the process of doing it for something bigger, wanting to win because I knew it would give me a platform for my nonprofit, wanting to win because I knew it might give me scholarships to be able to continue my education, or getting the leadership experience, the community service, the public speaking. Those are the types of things I was looking for, and the friends, but not necessarily the winning. And so I think if you go into competitions with the mindset that you can win the experience and still lose the title, that's okay. Because winning the experience is really what it's all about. And I think that's how you end up becoming a good title holder and being successful in pageants, because you're successful in other areas of your life. I think you have to be successful outside of pageants in order to make the pageant experience worthwhile. And if you're missing one piece without the other, it's just not going to create the whole experience you might want to get. And so that's something that I've definitely had to learn, because I started my first pageant when I was a freshman at the Air Force Academy, about halfway through my year. And I had no clue what pageants were. I thought you could just walk in, and because I thought I was kind of good at public speaking, that I could just win because I thought it would be fun. Well, guess what? I lost. I've lost way more pageants than I've won anything. And I think that goes for most people, I would say. And it's because I went in not with the heart and the intention of doing it for something else, but just for the sake of winning. So I didn't have a great pageant weekend, and that was totally on me. I didn't prepare. I didn't come in with the mindset of like having an open heart. And so I had to learn over the years of prepping for a pageant is not just practicing your walk, is not just having the perfect wardrobe. It's having a fantastic mindset and an open heart. And I think that was the biggest change that I had made from winning Miss Colorado to going into Miss America week, because Miss Colorado, I had put so much stress on myself to perform well that I had an awful experience. And that was totally on me. And so I knew going into Miss America week, it was going to be a crapshoot. Everyone's super talented and amazing. And so I knew that the only thing I could control going into it was my mindset, the friends that I made, and the experience that I took away. And I knew that no one can change that. No one can take those things away from me. And in that way, I can win. And so I'd say that's been kind of the overarching theme of my very long journey in pageants and what I've learned from it.
Can you take us back to your experience competing for Miss Colorado? And what do you think were the glitches? What were the mindset glitches that caused that experience for you?
So I think sometimes whenever I really care about something, it's like a double-edged sword in the way that I prepare for it, that I just kind of, I go all in, but not necessarily in a good way. Just like being so obsessed with doing everything perfectly and being afraid of what are other people going to think about me if I don't do well. And I think the Miss Colorado experience kind of reminds me of when I was going for the Rhodes Scholarship. So the Rhodes Scholarship is like a big national scholarship if you haven't heard of it, and it will take you to Oxford to go study. And I had been one of the few students at the Air Force Academy that had basically won every scholarship up until this point. And I didn't necessarily want to go to Oxford, but I just wanted the Rhodes Scholarship because I felt like people might think less of me if I didn't get it. And so I remember the day I had made it to like the final round in the US and I didn't get it. And the whole day I was like, oh my gosh, people are going to think less of me now. They're going to think I'm an idiot because I didn't get it. And just like all of this very self-deprecating talk. And my fiance was like, why in the world do you think anyone cares if you did or didn't get it? No one is going to think of you less. They're going to say, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you tried. Look at all these other things and the doors that it's opened. And so I still kind of slightly had that mindset of being worried about what other people were going to think if I didn't win Miss Colorado. That was my first big pageant in like over a year. And I had lost all the other ones. I hadn't won, I guess, like a main pageant system yet. And so I just kept worrying about what are people going to say, like if I don't do well. Are they going to talk and say, I mean, you just don't know. And it was just kind of this constant spiral throughout the weekend that what if I don't do well? And that's all anyone at my school is going to talk about how Madison lost the competition. And it was so silly because guess what? No one cares. Nobody cares. All my friends just wanted to see is that I was enjoying myself. I was doing something that I loved. And so the whole weekend I was so uptight, sitting in bathrooms, crying, anxious that I was going to do poorly on stage. And I had a new talent where I was talking about flying planes. And I knew that was probably going to be maybe a little bit controversial with people in the military. And so it was really tough the whole weekend that I was just, I mean, I lost the entire experience of what it means to go and do a pageant. I had won the title, but I lost the whole experience. And so that was really tough afterwards, looking back and just being like, thank goodness this weekend is over. And that's not how you want to walk away from a pageant. You want to walk away it being fun and something memorable. And I'd kind of ruined that for myself because of this worry of what other people were going to think. And now I've had this very long journey over the past year of just kind of letting go, changing kind of my goals and my dreams for my life because I mean, we can get into this a little bit later, but I had always wanted to be an astronaut. And so that's where I think that's where a lot of my problems had stemmed from of if I didn't get the Rhodes Scholarship, people were going to start talking about how maybe I wasn't going to become an astronaut anymore. And that was like my whole identity. Pageants had become a huge part of my identity. If I lose the pageant, how is that going to be a part of my identity anymore? And are people going to judge me for that? And having to break free of this mindset of saying it's okay to not win things because you can still win in other ways, or it's okay to change your dreams and aspirations because it's your life. And at the end of the day, the only person that can really say anything about it is you. and
That's so
letting go of the intentions of other people.
That's so true because your experiences in life, your identity belongs to you, not to anybody else. And we spend so much time worrying about what other people think of our actions. And we were just talking about this the other day about how much time we spend worrying about what other people think doesn't affect them at all. It's only affecting us. And once we can release that, then we spend so much more of our time and energy on things that actually matter to us and things that actually propel us towards achieving the dreams that we want to achieve. That's one of the questions that I ask when we're breaking down limiting beliefs is this thought helping you progress towards your goals? And if the answer is no, then we have to release it and we have to replace it with something better, something more helpful. And I love this idea. I wrote it down and I quoted it: win the experience. That's what it's about. Win the experience. And I think that's amazing. And this actually leads me into one of my notes on here that I wanted to ask you about is haters. As Miss America, I mean, even as a state title holder, as a local title holder, Lila and I have talked about this, like kind of getting the haters, getting the people that have things that they want to say for whatever reason that are coming out from behind, the protection of their screen to make comments and say things. And you don't have to go too in depth about anything people have said. I just want to know how you have taken care of yourself in this position of, I mean, you're a celebrity in the spotlight. How have you taken care of yourself through that?
I think one of the main things, Lyle will laugh at this, do not go on the void boards. Don't look at them. Don't post them. Don't talk about them in front of other title holders. To this day, I have never once, I don't even know how to find the void boards. I just know that's the name of it. I've never went on the website, and I will never go on the website because I don't want to know good, bad, neutral, whatever. Don't go on them. I think that is such a big thing, and I hate seeing some of the younger girls fall into the trap of going and looking at them because that's such an easy way to degrade your confidence and kind of get you off track of what we're really here for. And I think another thing, I guess, going now into like Miss America and hate, I'd say I'm lucky that I haven't received a lot, but I know there are definitely some accounts, a part of the military community, that have gone pretty harsh about me. And my big thing is that I don't go and I do not look up those accounts. I have them, like, if my family has told me, like, hey, these people are saying stuff about you, one, I don't want to know. I've requested my family and friends to just not tell me if they see stuff and to just report the accounts or report the comments and don't tell me. Because there have been times where I've thought about it a lot and it can ruin your day. Even if you feel very strong and confident in yourself, it can ruin your day. And so I've decided the best thing for me is I step away. I don't look at those accounts. If there's a comment that comes directly to my Instagram, I delete it. I never respond back to those people. I never DM them to try to correct them because at the end of the day, people are going to come up with whatever narrative they want you to fit in. Most of the time, it's not going to be truthful. You can't fix that. It's someone on the other side of the world that is deciding to spend their time commenting something hateful on your Instagram instead of doing something good for the world. Why would you try to correct those people? You can't fix things like that. They're still going to try to come up with anything that they could say. I mean, there have been accounts that have been trying to say, well, she's not successful. She's not even a Harvard graduate. And it's like, okay, I never said I was a Harvard graduate. I'm a Harvard graduate student. You didn't let them finish the sentence. And so it's things like that. You can't fix what people say online. So just let them say what they want and you step away. You stay peaceful. The only person that knows you at the end of the day is you and your loved ones. So who cares what some person on the other side of the country is saying behind a hidden screen? Doesn't matter. So let go of it.
I can't wait to go back and listen to this when I need to hear some of this stuff. And I was laughing when you said they just didn't finish the sentence. It's true. People sometimes just don't read enough or they don't get so far into the story that they even understand what's going on. Anyways.
That's happened quite a bit, especially with some of my interviews. Like, all of these, I don't know what it was, I guess the news outlets. So I had done a incentive ride in the military in a fighter plane. I'm not a fighter pilot. I'll preface that again because a lot of news outlets have tried to say I was a fighter pilot, and I've had to correct them every single time because I had an amazing female fighter pilot up front named Napalm. That's her call sign, that was flying me. And so a lot of these outlets have been trying to say, well, she's claiming she's a fighter pilot. And I wish, I mean, this goes for everyone. Anytime you're on social media, whether it be the news, I know Lila probably talks about this a lot, whether it be the news or maybe in the pageant community, if someone's saying something bad, take a step back and dig a little bit deeper. Because of those people that were commenting all of this hate on me saying that I'm claiming I was a fighter pilot, all they had to do was watch one interview, 30 seconds long, to see that I've corrected every single interviewer that I've had that's claimed something like that. And that goes for, I think, plenty of things. There's going to be stuff that you might see come across your Instagram that could be from a news outlet that's probably not as true as it is on its boldface. And being able to take a step back and dig a little bit deeper, I mean, that goes for everything on social media, not just pertaining to media and pageant hate, but everything. And I think if we could use that skill in our day-to-day lives, we could all be a little bit better off.
Thank you, Maddie. I mean, shoot. Yeah, it's true. It's sad, but it's true. And especially when our children are growing up in a day and age where we remember the shift to when everything got on social media. But kids these days, they don't remember that. It just is a part of their life, which is a little scary. But yes, absolutely. What is something that you wish you could have known before beginning all of this, or even looking back to Miss Colorado or even Miss America? Is there anything that you wish you would have known?
You know, I think a big part of your experience is making it your own. There's going to be a lot of people that try to put an input to control your experience. And this applies to things even outside of pageants, but I'll just speak directly about Miss America. At the end of the day, this is supposed to be something that is fun to help grow you. If there is a point when you maybe have someone that's helping you prep, whether that be, I don't know, a coach or a mentor, that's starting to overstep and take away from it being your experience, you need to think a lot deeper about that. Because going into Miss America, one of the biggest things that I wanted was that I wanted to represent me, because I could only control how I acted. Even if that is my wardrobe, if I wanted to wear a particular pair of shoes or a beautiful cape that my best friend made, I wanted to wear that because it was my experience. And I knew that if I didn't have this say of dressing myself, acting, and speaking like myself, and I won, I didn't win as me. And then even scarier, if I had lost and I didn't represent myself, I had just lost that entire experience of going to Miss America and having fun and being me, because it's my Miss America week. It's my year going to Miss America or being Miss Colorado. So always keeping that in mind, it is not as deep as people try to make it out to be. It is not that deep. It's your experience. It's your life. Make it fun. Make it fun, be passionate, make it your year. It's your time, nobody else's. People can help you, don't get me wrong. I've received a lot of help from a lot of amazing people. But at the end of the day, you are the ultimate decision maker. You are the ultimate person that gets to decide how your year is going to look like and how your Miss America week is going to look like. So keep that in mind on making sure when you are prepping for whatever pageant that you are representing you. You are representing who you authentically are and not letting all of these other talks and whatever type of nonsense that might be thrown at you infiltrating the true representation of what you want to be.
We talk a lot about siphoning through the feedback that we get because there's a lot of feedback coming from different sources, and some of it feels good and some of it feels way off. What would you say about how to decipher between really good, powerful advice and stuff that really just doesn't fit you? And mostly, though, I want to know, how do you maintain that fun and your identity while also building the skills you need to succeed?
I'm trying to think about the siphoning the advice one because I feel like it's something that I'm still kind of learning. I think a big thing for advice for me is if it's trying to change something that's integral to who I am, that's not good advice. Like, for example, I think a thing that we need to get a lot better about in the pageant community is not trying to frame this narrative of people need to change their entire look to win. Whether it be you need to chop your hair off to your chin if you want to have a chance at winning, or you need to dye your hair a different color, or telling girls to change the way that their bodies look. I mean, all of that is a no. That is an absolute off the bat no to me, because I believe, at least in the Miss America organization, the best thing about you is not your appearance. It's all of the other wonderful things that you bring to the table. And so the type of feedback that I look for is people that can be, like for interviews, people that can be tough on me, but can also point out, hey, here are the things that you're doing great at, and let's try this answer again to try to form it better. Those are the types of things that are actually building like my communication skills. Or if you want to make your community service initiative better, you can go talk to someone that's super successful on ways that you can grow that. That's the type of advice that matters. But this little advice of trying to change the identity of someone or change the entire appearance of someone is just red flag no for me, because that is not what the pageant experience should be about at all.
You talk about staying true to who you are, but oftentimes we struggle to even know who we are to begin with. So can you talk about your journey of really uncovering who Madison Marsh is so that you can stay true to who you are despite some of the feedback that you might be receiving?
And I'm going to add on to that, because have you ever experienced imposter syndrome? Have you ever thought all of these accomplishments and achievements, have you ever felt like you weren't supposed to be there, or any kind of doubt in your mind?
Yes. So, a very big revelation that I've had over the past year or two. So, ever since I was in the 8th grade, I had this dream of being an astronaut. I made a legitimate 30-year plan of everything that I was going to do. It's why I started flying planes. It's why I went to the Air Force Academy. It's why I did all of these other little things leading up to the Air Force Academy. It's why I planned out my whole life to study astrophysics and astronautical engineering. Why I went for every scholarship. I mean, I had this entire plan perfectly laid out that I had executed until it was about my junior year. And so I was going through all of these scholarship competitions like the Astronaut Scholarship and the Truman Foundation. And we had to put in there like the job that we wanted later on, like our 10-year plan or whatever, or what we would want to be using our money for. And every time that I had spoken about this astronaut stuff, it just kind of came up empty to me. Like, it sounds really cool, but I had made it my entire personality. Like, if you go and ask anyone that knew me freshman, sophomore, and probably junior year, they would call me the astronaut girl. I mean, even people from my hometown still call me like the astronaut girl. That is how integral I had made it into my personality. And so my fiance had pointed out, like, you say you want to be an astronaut, but you also say that you want to work on your nonprofit for the rest of your life. You also say that you want to be able to have the flexibility to be home and create a family. And you realize that those two lifestyles clash with one another. And so I was like, oh, geez. So I really had to think about my values in life and what I wanted. Like, I mean, this is very morbid, but I think about, what am I going to think about when I'm on my deathbed? Is it going to be the fact that I was an astronaut, or is it going to be the fact that I created a very beautiful family and a meaningful job in the pancreatic cancer community? And when I had that sort of wake up call, I was like, oh my gosh, I've been saying for the past 8 years, and I created this very small and kind of cornered myself into this whole life that I wanted. And then I realized long term as I'm maturing, that's a dream I don't really want anymore. But everyone else still thinks that's the dream that I want. I had outgrown that dream, but everyone else was still thinking that's where I was. And I was so afraid. I was terrified that people were going to think less of me because I didn't have a cool, glamorous job of being an astronaut. or because I wasn't this top student going to go get my master's in astrophysics. I mean, it was so stupid, but that's what I was focused on. And so when I was trying to find advice from all of these people, it was really difficult because I didn't know how to, I guess, break the news to people that that's not where I wanted my life to be anymore. Because I was just terrified that people were going to be like, oh my gosh, she's not going to be an astronaut. I can't believe that. And as soon as I started telling people, once again, nobody cared. Everyone was just happy that I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I mean, seriously, I had this fear that everyone was going to have this huge gasping moment like, how dare she? But as soon as I told them, nobody cared. They were like, oh my gosh, that's so great. I'm glad you're doing something that makes you happy. And so once I had found that and I had recognized the life projection that I wanted, everything has now started to fall into place. I'm starting to search for a new job in the Air Force to ensure that I can have the type of life that I want, because in 15, 20 years from now, when we're all adults, the only person that's going to be with me at the end of the day is going to be my future husband, Walker, and our kids. Anytime we go see people, no one's going to care when you're going to talk about your job for, I hope, less than 5 minutes when you all meet up with each other. And then you're going to talk about real things in life that you love. And so starting to recognize this, there are so many other important things than people's perception of you is the best part. And so when I can recognize that, that's when I can find the best advice and really digging deep into my life values. And I think that's how I had found myself. It took a very, very long time. And I'm still on that road. And I'm probably, hopefully, always going to be on that road, because it should be a lifelong learning process of who you are, because you're going to change all the time. And being able to figure that out and having people by your side that can help you, genuinely help you, and want to be there for your success, for your failures, and for everything in between. And I think that's what's helped me the most.
Isn't it interesting that our lives don't really affect other people as much as we let ourselves believe?
Yes.
Good makes a huge difference. I'm going to say that.
And I'm just sitting over here cheesing because I don't think that I've ever had a more relatable, honest conversation about life in this way, especially, being 10 years out from being Miss Wisconsin. And back then, I mean, that was my world. That was everything that I wanted to be. And now I look back like, nope, I'm married. We're looking at planning a family, and everything that you're talking about, what actually matters at the end of the day, 10 years out, that's what I'm living right now. And it's so real.
And I think this also kind of reminds me of like this on the road lifestyle of what people think is like the glamorous of like being Miss America. But the fact of the matter is, when I give up my title, when everyone else gives up their title, what are you going to have after that? What's going to be fulfilling to you when this fast-paced, bright light, in the moment lifestyle is done? And being able to be excited for the what comes next. Because I think life, for the most part, I would say is mundane, but in a happy way to me. Like, the mundane doesn't scare or bother me. I'm excited for the moment when I can have my evenings be with my fiance. I come home. I love to cook and to bake. I have a huge sweet tooth, and being able to have my mundane nights in my life be doing that and working on my nonprofit. And it's just like those things like that are what's important, because your everyday life isn't going to be being a title holder with cameras flashing in your face. It's what's going to come afterwards to like fulfill you. And I think once you can have the clarity and make things less scary in that way, it makes you excited for the normality of life.
I want to switch gears just a little bit. It's not too far off because we've been talking about your fiance Walker and relationships. And I know that a lot of you guys that are listening probably have experienced intimate relationships while you're competing. I have had friends, I myself have gone through, dating while competing and trying to focus on yourself and be really successful in whatever competition system or school, whatever adventure you're in. And I'd love to hear about your experience in your relationship with Walker and what that has done for you in terms of your success of being with someone that you have now committed your life to. I mean, oftentimes women that are in, a really significant relationship while competing, it can cause a lot of issues, a lot of turmoil. You're trying to balance everything. I'd love to hear about how your relationship has really helped you and what you guys have had to do to make sure that you are both supporting one another in your dreams. I hope that question makes sense. It was very long-winded.
Yes. I think a big thing is Walker and I both have each other as our number one priorities. Like at the end of the day, every day, even before I had won, he was always my number one priority. And he was someone that I knew I could grow with. And both of our successes didn't make the other one ever feel bad. It made us excited for one another. And I think that's a big thing. Having trust and feeling like equals in a relationship. Because every time, Walker would win a boxing match or he would get like the highest scores in his classes, I was always there cheering him on. And he had always felt the same with me. There was no insecurity in our relationship ever. And so I think that's a really big part of, especially in the pageant community, when you go and win, being able to have the security of your relationship and trusting one another. I think those have been two big pieces. And then obviously communication. Those have been really huge for us. And I think another part is Walker has always said he doesn't love me because I won Miss America or Miss Colorado or because I studied physics or went to the Air Force Academy. He's like, I don't care about any of that. That's all secondary. What I care about is just you being you, because you make me laugh, you make me happy, you make me want to spend time with you. And I think finding someone that cares about like the core part of you, everything else falls into place. Because we knew that if we cared about that, we wanted to live a long life together and a successful one together. Being able to have those core things and everything else being secondary has been really huge. And then I think also a big part of this year, that trust piece and prioritizing one another. Like every morning when we wake up, I kind of send him my whole schedule for the day and he sends me mine because he's in pilot training. So he's very busy too. And then making sure at the end of every night, we're calling each other. We try to do like 30 minutes. We're not scrolling on anything else. We're not doing any other work. It's just us focusing, having a conversation to prioritize us. And then also when I go and speak to Miss America and say, I need these days off to go see my fiance, have been really important because you're always going to be able to find time for things that you care about. And Walker's been a big piece of that for me.
Are you kidding me? I actually have nothing to say. Like, I want to just listen to you talk.
Oh, I love you, Lila.
I'm so proud of you.
You guys talk about your relationship and friendship leading up to Miss America.
Oh, I think it's funny. I was going to bring it up and it didn't really fit in, but I was gonna say like your mindset through Miss America and how many times I heard you say, "This is my sunset ride. This is my sunset ride." And how many times we would walk down the hall, be in the elevator, go to events, be getting ready for hair and makeup. This is my sunset ride.
I know this is a silly a question to ask. Madison, did you have any idea? Like, did you have any feeling that it could be you?
No, I feel like, honestly, no, not at all. Because I hadn't gone into Miss America thinking about winning. I was just there to have a good time. And I also felt, I don't know if Lila was there for this, but it was the park day. And I just wanted to go and have a good time and meet people because there was honestly a lot of really great experiences. And we had a fantastic class that I didn't really care about the rest of it because I had known that going into the competition, I wanted to win in other ways. Like I had spoken about earlier, wanting to win the experience because I had decided this was going to be my final pageant forever. I was going to be done. I wanted to go get married, do all the things that I didn't really care about the outcome. And I think that had made me so much more relaxed throughout the entire week. And I remember like on finals morning, I was just, I mean, even after prelims, I was like, wow, this was probably my last time ever walking on a stage. And I started to get kind of sad. And then I was like, no, we're not going to get sad about this. This is a great experience and we're ending on a high note, whatever. And so on finals morning, I had already gone in thinking like I had already walked my last time on a stage. And if I make top 10 tonight, great, because my family hasn't gotten to see me compete yet. So if I could compete in front of them, that would be super cool. But if not, who cares? And I remember, I don't know if I could find the text messages, but I was texting Walker beforehand saying, if I don't make top 10, please tell my family to not treat me like a wounded animal. I'm not going to be upset. I want everyone to just be happy and have fun with me later. Because this has been a very tiring week and I don't want people to be like, oh, Madison. Like, I want you to like have fun with me later and don't do that. So Walker was like, okay. So when I had made top 10, I was just excited my family could see me. And I was like, this has been the highlight of my night. I don't need anything else. Like, they got to see me, all good. And then when I made top 5, I was like, oh, gee, okay, this is starting to get stressful. I hadn't been practicing questions all day long, so I was like, there's no way I'm going to need to do an on-stage question. And then as we were backstage for top 5, I started to like panic a little bit because I was like, this could get very real very soon. And I remember just thinking like, do I want this? Do I not? Just like panicking because we're about to go back out there for crowning. And I think a big moment for me was just not being fearful of what was going to happen in the event that I won, because I knew if I won, it wasn't going to be for me. And that was a big part of it. I was like, if I win, I have this whole opportunity to make it about my mom, whose story has never been told nationally. I have the opportunity, I'm going to start crying out, to make it about my class and including the girls, to make it about women in the military. I was like, none of this is about me. I was like, I can be a little bit scared, but I need to throw that right out the door right now, because if this happens and it's for real, I need to be strong and take on this opportunity for other people, because I know I can take it on. I just need to get the fear out of my head of doing it. And that was a big moment. And I was like, got to clear out my head. It's whatever. This is kind of scary, but we're moving on. And I think going out there, that was kind of the mindset. I didn't really know what was going on. I remember like being in the top 2, I just kind of like froze. That was like the stillest and quiet my mind has ever been in my whole life, because it's usually like this all the time. It's just running. If it's like a hamster on a wheel, that's how my mind runs. And in that moment, I just remember being like, I just cleared out my head and I was completely still, because I was like, wow, I did not prepare for this moment or even think that this was going to happen at all. And so I just stood there, and I mean, the whole week, I mean, that just wasn't my intention or expectation. And I think it had helped me a lot, weirdly enough, in the competition phases of not being, quote, prepared to win. Because when I went on stage, I was more relaxed. I had fun. I had fun in interview because it wasn't that deep, you know? I just got to be there to have fun. And I think that translated a lot better on stage versus what I had done at past pageants, being super uptight and anxious, because that reads on your face, it reads in your competition, and it ruins your experience outside of it as well. And so I think, I think it helped me in a very odd way to not be as prepared.
I love that. You say that you didn't have a feeling. I had a feeling after you were called into top 5. I kept looking around to everyone and being like, it's gonna be Maddie. It's gonna be Maddie. I sounded like a crazy person backstage. It was actually like nuts. Like I could have been a little bit crazy. And I remember running up to you and being like, don't forget me when you become Miss America. I don't know if you remember this conversation, but I was like, Maddie, don't forget me when you become Miss America. And you were like, I am terrified. And I said, your mom is with you. And then I ran away. And that to me was like, I just knew. And I know Logan in the audience, he was like, oh no, we knew. And my mom was crying because she like knew you through me. And
Oh,
so as much as you say it's not about you, it takes a certain type of person to be able to bring all these different things together. So, as humble as you are, I think it's also important to recognize that you have set yourself up in a place in your life to be able to do something like this. And that's very telling. And it shows.
Humble
Oh, well,
confidence. You're humble, but you have this beautiful humble confidence, because humility is sometimes taken too far where it can be self-deprecating. But to be humble and know that you are good enough, you're worthy, you're capable, but that there's a bigger purpose behind it. And also that you're not better or less than anybody else. And that's what I'm hearing from you in every single word that you say. And I am so inspired by you, so grateful for
oh,
you,
thank you.
grateful that you are sharing all of this with our listeners, because this is invaluable conversation.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank
I wanted to talk about with Lila just a little bit back to our relationship, because she has been truly one of my closest, most reliable pageant friends at first, but now coming like exiting outside the pageant world, being there because we just want to be friends, not because we do pageants together. You know what I mean? And so we had met at USA National Miss. We were both little teens, and I had a horrible week. I was so uptight and stressed once again. This was 2 years ago. I'd still not learned the art of relaxing at a competition until Miss America, really. And there's this photo out there somewhere. I think we had been at rehearsals all day, and all I wanted was to just go sit alone in my room and cry. But you can't do that because you have to be at rehearsals. And there's a photo of Lila coming and sitting down next to me and just like holding my hand, and me starting to cry a little bit, and her just talking to me. And having someone be there like that meant a lot. And so we had kept up, obviously, post UNM. And then now coming into this last year, I had we started to, talk. We had always kept up, but we started to talk a lot more this past year. And whenever I'd seen that she was going to compete for Miss Wisconsin. And after I had won Miss Colorado, I was like, oh my gosh, what if we both get to go to Miss America again? That would make me feel so much better, because I know I have like a true friend that's going to be there when the week gets rough. And so I was in Italy with my fiance, and I woke up at 3 in the morning to watch Lila on her finals night, because I didn't want to wait for the news the next day since I was in a different time zone. So I literally woke up in the middle of the night to see like the top five and like who was going to end up winning. And when Lila won, I was just like, oh my God, I knew it. You always talk about the perfect timing of everything, because there's been so many pageants like when you lose and you're like, why did I lose? Like I shouldn't have lost, or like something stupid like that. But really, everything is always going to work out exactly perfectly how it was supposed to. I've been trying to compete in the Miss America system for 3 years. The first year, I don't know what happened. I think something had come up on a weekend, and the Air Force Academy was like, you can't leave. The second year, I get all the way. We're like 3 weeks out or a month out, and I have to drop out of the competition because my scholarship said that if I skipped a certain amount of days, then I couldn't get my scholarship for the Truman anymore. And then this last year was the first year, I've been trying for 3 years, that I finally actually got to compete at Miss Colorado. And then I win, and my best friend wins, and we get to go to Miss America together. That's the sort of perfect timing that you have to trust and just relax in, because it's all going to work out. Everything always happens for one reason or another. And if you can't see it in the moment, hopefully you'll get clarity or just have peace right now, because I didn't have that. But now looking back on this whole experience, I am so happy I didn't win any of the other pageants. Not because I won Miss America. Even if I would have lost Miss America, this year would have been perfect to me. I'm so happy I didn't get to compete 2 years ago or a year ago or win in another system that I'd really wanted to win in, because this year, this time, this moment was the perfect one. And that's how it always will and should be. And so I'm really lucky that I get to have Lila with me throughout this, because now we're going to be best friends for life outside of pageants. And that's how everything just works out beautifully.
Ah, man. I'm
Lila,
not.
did you tell her
Yeah,
that our episode last week?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, no, I paid her to say all that, actually. Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God. Stop.
No, well, okay, our episode last week was about it's perfect timing, and we were talking about how it's really easy to get into situations, especially in pageantry, because everything's really heightened and you really want things, and you're so passionate about everything you're talking about, and things don't work out, and it's hard to see in the moment why things don't work out. And so me and Ray were just sitting here like, because everything that you just said, I was like, yes, 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 and yes.
I was losing my mind over here. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm just like, keep going. This is everything that we had on our hearts and minds last week. And it's just, oh, can we just drop the mic for perfect timing right
I know. I know. I'm like, now that I realize we're coming up on time too, I want to make sure that we end this in a way that does justice to everything that we talked about. Thank you for being here, Maddie. Thank you. We are so lucky. Thank you for being.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
you so much, Lila.
I know that we're coming up on time, but I think I would regret it if I didn't ask you to talk just very briefly, like give us your most inspiring message about service initiatives and coming from a place of really heartfelt service, doing something that you're passionate about, not because the judges are going to love it or not. And I ask because this was very much my experience. I lost my brother. My service initiative was all about him and his story. And I know that yours is deeply personal to you too. And I would love for everyone to hear your real quick overview of the importance of your service initiative and it coming from the heart.
Yeah, I think even going and competing for pageants or scholarships or whatever you might be doing, you have to do it from a place of passion because you're never going to be as good at something or have the effect that you want if you're not passionate about it and if you don't truly care about it. And I think I've seen people fall into the trap of trying to form like the perfect community service initiative to hit all these boxes, but it doesn't have the effect that you want because you don't have the true love for it. And that's how I had felt about all the stuff I'd spoken about in space. Like I had studied gamma ray bursts and I said I was going to do all of these crazy projects to researching the beginning of time, black holes, nonsense, whatever. And I never really got good at it because I didn't love it. And when I had stepped back and realized what I really love was pancreatic cancer, that's when I did my best work. I had changed my tracks my senior year for our final research project to be about artificial intelligence and pancreatic cancer. I knew nothing about AI, but I wanted to make the science piece aspect work with pancreatic cancer. And so then I had been able to grow it into all of these other different avenues because it was something that I loved. And I think an important story and message that I will leave that relates to this is about my mom. So she passed when she was 41 to pancreatic cancer. Whether you get 20 years, 40 years, or 100 years of life, it's too short. Every moment that you waste on doing something that you hate is a moment wasted that you could be doing something that you loved, because there are people out there like my mom that don't get the chance to wake up here on this beautiful Sunday morning and do something great. So take the opportunity not only to find your passion in your life and your love pouring into good people, but also making the mundane good. Not just having a good job, but your day to day. Waking up, some days it's going to be hard. There are days that I'm not good at this, and you're going to be mad because maybe you burnt your toast, you made your coffee the wrong way, your outfit's not fitting the way that you want it to, and just taking a step back and taking a deep breath, because there are people in this world that do not get to live the lives that we have or don't get to live here in general anymore. And recognizing the power and positivity and waking up with a good attitude, not to make your life good, but every other person that you get to be in contact with, complimenting people, looking on the bright side, trying to find something good in every single moment and day that you have can expand your life into a good and fulfilling one. And that always leaks into the type of jobs that you have. Don't do things that you hate. Don't do things that aren't fulfilling to you, because you're just wasting beautiful time that you get to have that you could be doing something much better. You could be doing something that could impact your life and millions of others. And that bleeds into your community service initiative as well. Pour into everything that you do 110% and make it something worthwhile that you love living for.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I'm so glad I asked. Oh, Madison Marsh, thank you for being here. Thank you for pouring your heart into this conversation with us. I am so grateful. Adam, I'm going to leave this conversation just feeling like I don't know what to do with the rest of the day. Like there's it's time for bed. Wake up again and do it all over tomorrow.
I know, right? Well, Maddie, what are you doing for the rest of your day?
Let's see. Whenever I'm on the road, I'm really bad about checking my work phone because I literally forget that I have it, and I'll get like important emails, and then it'll be the end of the week, not during the workday anymore when I'm supposed to be checking it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, so sorry, everyone. So I need to catch up on emails. I think maybe I'll go on like a walk outside today because it's beautiful out and I don't get to be in the sun enough, and I want to enjoy good weather while I can. And I got to pack because I'm going on vacation in 2 days.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Cabo with my sister, my dad, my aunt, and uncle. And I guess my parents had started American Airlines points for me a long time ago anytime they would buy me a flight. I've never logged into this account before. And I logged into it, and all of these points expire next year, like thousands of them. And so I look up these Cabo flights because my whole family was going, and I was like, oh my God, I cannot afford these. But then I got them for free because of these points. So I'm trying to do a little free trip. I'm going to pack my cute swimsuits. I'm going to go on my Kindle. I'm going to download an insane amount of books. I started a new fantasy series, and it's awful.
Okay, because I was going to say one of the options was to read ACOTAR again, and I'm kind of upset that you're not reading ACOTAR again because we could be reading it together right now, even though it took me a year and a half to finally read it after you sent multiple text messages and Snapchat to me for the last year and a half. I'm finally reading it, so now I want you to read it with me.
What book are you on? The first one?
I'm almost done with the first one. I'll text you when I'm done.
Okay. I feel, you know how I write my little book reviews?
Yes.
So this book I'm reading, it's like, I think it might be a Snow White retelling, but not. It's like a fairy tale book.
I'm reading ACOTAR.
I know, I'm about to, because I'm like, Elton, what? She's like, she gave it 5 stars. She's like, it's the best thing I've ever read.
But are you one of those people that has to finish a book if you start it?
Yes, if it's not too long.
Okay.
How many times do we have to say thank you for being here?
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, Madison. We really appreciate you taking the time. And I mean, this isn't as much as we loved sitting and getting to listen to you. This is also not for us. And hopefully there was somebody out there that really needed to hear what you had to say.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I love getting to talk to you. So,
yeah. It was a pleasure. Thank you. Have a great time on your vacation. Good luck with everything. And hopefully we'll get to chat with you again on the show before your year is up. If not, maybe shortly thereafter. But I know you'll be in full swing of wedding planning as well. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. Thanks, Madison. Bye.
Bye.